it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, a holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The pompous see this mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. It is so nice to be here with you on this Thursday for Middle Path, especially because of how hard the forces that wish that they were have to try to stop this from happening. And they never can. I just keep going. I said in the chat on Rockfin, if you're over there, say it with me now. My light is unstoppable. And luckily Travis in the chorus echoed back, your light burns brighter than the sun. And that is exactly right. Instead of getting upset that over and over again OBS and Rockfin were doing strange things that literally make no sense at all, I just went into really deep space meditation. I created my light. I called on the highest light and I asked and generated the reality in which we're streaming anyways. It's interesting, the past handful of episodes, we've been especially targeted once again, seemingly. And it comes and goes, you know, there's months and sometimes years where a lot of targeting seems to happen. And then there's nothing for a while. And it's like, oh, cool. And I can track it literally to how many listeners and views I get. And when we have huge upshoots in listeners and views, the targeting increases. And when it drops back down a little bit, then the targeting whacks off a bit. So it's very interesting. And that might not be the case of why it comes and goes, but I would like to reaffirm the truth that all of our collective light is unstoppable. So I love when I get to have your guys' manifestation ability along with me, that you know this show will always be here and will always stream when it needs to stream, and this will always be available to you, and that is all that matters. They literally can't stop it. So it is nice to be here with you. And that's your practice for Middle Path. No, we actually are going to do a practice today, as we always do. But it is a good practice to disengage emotionally from frustration, especially when it's coming from seemingly dark sources like that. And then just go within, reassert your sovereignty, your light, your connection to source, all the good, true, and beautiful energies that are around, and, you know, visualize, request, you know, do all kinds of things to see that this is going to come about anyway, whatever it is that your goal is. And that's a good practice in itself. Just trusting that and just knowing that you're a badass. You're a badass warrior of light, whether you want to be or not. And we're bringing light into the darkness here on Middle Path. So that was a nice start to the show. Sorry it was a little bit late because of that. What's up, Trappist Skunk in the YouTube chat? I feel like it's been a while. I think I already said hello to Travis, burning brighter than the sun over in the Rockfin chat. Amanda McCall, nice to see you as well. And all the other people who haven't said hello yet and will be here if I don't get a chance to say hello to you, and hello to you, all you listeners out there who I never get to see in the chat, but are podcast fans. There's so many of you. I love you all. I'm so grateful for you. You can always, of course, support the show by coming and becoming a supporter on Rockfin, on subscribestar.com/rogue-ways, or on rogue.locals.com, where we all get to hang out and share information in an uncensored platform, which is really nice. All of those help to support the show and keep it going. And as well, on days like today, on Thursdays, you get then the entire episode of Middle Path instead of just this first little section that's for free. And you also get the hangout afterwards. So if you're a supporter in any of those ways, you get to come hang out with us in the Zoom chat. It is unscripted, unrecorded, unbroadcast. It's just us hanging out. You can have your video on or off, your audio on or off. You can just hang out and listen, or you can chat with us. It is pretty fun. We aim to, make this drab world a little bit brighter together, and so we have a good time. Lots of laughs and smiles. What's up, Michelle Mullen in the chat? Nice to see you here as well. I just, this whole thing, whatever, we don't even need to say what it is. Everybody knows. It's on everybody's minds. And there's a lot of division about it. And hopefully we all remember, the truth that in our hearts, the vast majority of us are actually really good compassionate, loving people. And no matter what side of something we may fall on, it doesn't matter. It's really like no one's business, actually. They make it everyone's business by inviting us to all fight about things publicly. But in the end, I don't care what you choose to do or not do, and I don't care what you believe or don't believe, and it just doesn't matter to me. It's just not important. There are some things, though, that always strike me, in these logical fallacies that come out, and these talking points that are used, and these methods of continuing and deepening the division, especially by encouraging ignorance. I always feel like I have to address them because I'm a teacher and that's what I do. And one of the things that happens is people keep saying this phrase, and it's a programmed phrase. So when you hear, I used to say this programmed phrase too. And so that this person is just repeating programming when they say this, because that's where it came from. That's why every single person who is programmed in this way says this exact version of this phrase. Because if you were actually thinking about a quality of something that you wanted to see in existence, you wouldn't necessarily use the exact same phrase every time you thought about that thing. And the phrase is basic health care. This phrase is amazing. It's just like conspiracy theorists. It's just like social distancing. It's just like any of the other pre-programmed phrases and codes that we've been programmed with. Basic health care, what does that mean? So somebody was saying this even before this all came up. They were saying something like, oh, it's just so sad in the US, you guys don't even have basic health care. And I was like, yeah, we do. We do. And they were like, oh, no, you don't. You can't just go to a doctor and get something unless you've got insurance, or then you're going to have to pay all this money. And I'm like, well, what types of things are we talking about here? And they're like, oh, scans and things and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is that basic? Is that basic healthcare to you? So what is the definition of basic healthcare? So even in that conversation, I was saying, what's basic to you? It's basic to some people to have literally every possibility of a medical need just taken care of without question. Nobody asks. Just go in, get any scans, any tests, anything you want. You could do it all day, every day if you wanted to. Every single mental, physical, emotional, all the tests, just go for it. That's basic to some people, apparently. And I was saying, oh no, I've never even been to a country where people were extremely poor. I went out to the far eastern reaches and very, very rural eastern Turkey, to literally where there was just mud huts in a community with goats and children running around the streets chasing our car because we were new. That community even had basic health care. Their basic health care to me is you have clean water, you've got clean cloths, you've got iodine or some way to sterilize things, you have bandages. That's basic health care. What does basic health care become? Apparently, you can just shove sugar and garbage into your face for your entire life, never exercise, smoke, drink, get 4 types of cancer and diabetes, and then just the basic health care is everyone else taking care of you for 20 years or more, slowly cutting off more and more body parts as your body eats itself, and that's basic to people now. I don't care. Again, your concept of what's basic is probably very different from my what, do you have bandages and clean water? You're good, that's basic healthcare. There's some herbs out there, go take them. That's cool. Your basic healthcare might include blood tests once a year and swabbing the old vag and whatever, scanning the boobs. I don't know, whatever you think basic, that's cool too. I don't really care. But it's very interesting to me that basic healthcare has become this programmed phrase, and what we're supposed to think that it means is that literally anything that you ever have encountered health-wise should be just taken care of. It should be scanned for, tested for free, and then taken care of. That's basic now, apparently. But what's even more fascinating to me is that now, really right now, the most important thing that is basic healthcare is abortions. It is basic healthcare for somebody to go in and remove tissue and possibly living being from your womb. That's insane to me. That is insane. I cannot imagine what the worldview is that says that is basic. It's definitely not basic. Most people will never encounter that need in their life, so what makes it basic? And I don't think the people who are saying that even really think about what it means. I don't think that they actually think it's basic. You know, if you had to define basic and health and care, I don't think that most people would agree that that's basic health care. But I think what people are actually saying is that they fear that some women won't have access to Planned Parenthood, which they think provides basic health care, like checking your blood pressure and taking your temperature and weighing you. Well, which is true. They do provide those things when you go in for any service there. So if that's basic health care, Planned Parenthood does provide that. Planned Parenthood doesn't have to close just because states now have the right to choose what their abortion laws are. So it also doesn't make sense. So I don't even really know what people think they mean when they're saying that women no longer have rights to basic health care, or that in the US it's hard to achieve basic health care, or whatever. I'm really confused about. Genuinely. It's yet another thing I would love for somebody, you know, on the other side to come in and just rationally explain to me why they think that's basic healthcare, what they think basic healthcare is, and why abortions would be considered basic healthcare. That would be a very interesting conversation at the least. So yeah, I've been to like 30 some countries in my life. You know, don't call me lucky. I worked my ass off for every single one of them. I planned them all. I made them happen. Definitely not luck that did any of that. Although I do feel very grateful for it, very honored to have the faculties to have created that reality in my life. But 100% of those countries, every single person I encountered, very, very poor and very rural to very, very rich and urban or whatever, everything in between, all of them had basic health care, all of them. And everyone in this country I've ever met has too. So that's my view. I just think it's interesting to at least question the phrase. Where did the phrase come from? Remember, just like when we were talking about public health, not that long ago, where'd that phrase come from? It did not exist just a few decades ago. And now it's like ironclad, like this is the message, there is public health, and you must bow to it. Like that wasn't even a concept in people's minds not that long ago. So we just take a little trip back memory lane and just wonder about the society that had not that concept. What happened then? Was everyone just dying all the time from public health, like disregard? It doesn't seem like it. So I don't think it's that important either. It's very interesting. And the other thing that has been coming up lately that I have to rant about before we get into the Kybalion and Hermetic things and cut off all the people who aren't supporters, even though I love you all very much. You can come become a supporter on Rockfin if you want to watch the rest of the episode, or any of the other places if you want to catch the audio. Also on Apple Podcasts if you want to become a member there. The other thing, though, is this, you know, every time July 4th comes up, this also comes up where people are like, oh, fuck this country. And I used to, again, do the same thing. And there's a lot to criticize about this very corrupt system that we're in currently, and just how awful some of these rulers and these psychopaths are. But it's always interesting, too, to see people are like, oh, the U.S. is just crap. Like, after the past few years of just rampant racism and out of control gun usage and blah, like, it's just that, what are we even celebrating? And I'm like, I mean, that's straight up, it's not a reflection of the US getting worse. It's actually a reflection of your consumption of propaganda. If you look at every metric that we can look at for decades and decades, everything's been getting way better. All measures of reports of everything of racism have been every year, every single year. From cops, from everyone, from every sector, all of it. Just tanking. No more racism. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying, like, every way we have of as humans to objectively look out and see whether racism is happening or not, every single one crashing. But yet now you think like the U.S. is this horrifying place. That's just propaganda. It's not reality. Right? Or that people say like, oh, it's just all the guns and all the violence. All these kids are getting shot. There's actually less. Okay, I'm going to just say maybe in the past 2 years it's actually gone up, which we could talk about all the reasons how that was orchestrated to happen. But for decades and decades before that, all murders, all gun violence, everything down, 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 down. Better and better and better. What's so awful about it? You're programmed to think about public health. You're programmed to talk about basic health care. You're programmed to believe this place is evil and awful and getting worse all the time. And every single metric we have shows it's improving until maybe, and I just haven't seen the data yet the past few years to really know for sure if there's a steep uptick. And if so, we have to remember the psychopaths locked everyone down, took everyone's jobs away, tanked the economy, it created a fuel crisis, and are now creating a famine. And we still haven't killed each other and massacred everyone and freaked the fuck out and like ripped everything down. Even when they purposely dropped bricks off and created riots in all our cities, we still didn't get that bad. It's pretty amazing, actually, how hard they have to try to get us to kill and hate and think that we are racist scum and just destroy each other, and we still don't do it. We're fucking amazing. We are brilliant, bright, beautiful lights, and nothing can stop our shining. And motherfuck the psychopaths who try to make us do otherwise, and we still fucking don't. So they can go suck it and fuck themselves. And just ask yourself whether you would agree with anything I've ever said or not. Just say, why do I say things like public health, basic health care, and that this country is racist? Is it based on objective, logical reality? Is there a real meaning to it? What do I mean by it? Who gave me these phrases? And what's the actual truth? Those would just be good questions for all of us to ask ourselves. So that's my rant. Before we get into our practice for the evening on Middle Path, as well as the show, which is the rest of the Kybalion. We have gone through all of it, all this Hermeticism. We just have a few things left we're going to touch on tonight, or we'll see. Sometimes we take a little longer going through some of that than we thought we might. But I do want to share a few more things with the people on the free side of the spectrum before we move on. Thank you, Dire Straits and Trappaskunk, for your support of my ranting. I gotta get it out sometimes. But let's look at a few things. So this is the site, of course, rogueways.org. I always like to share this. You can come get shamanic soul services. You can click up here on spiritual support and just schedule something straight off. You could read testimonials. I'm always adding to the testimonials for more and more people come and share their response to their healing, to their sessions with me, to their tarot readings, or to their ceremonies that they received. You can also get my channeled writing, the books that I write straight from me, or you can get them on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. But of course, I love to share them straight from me because then I get to write a little inscription to you, which is also channeled through from your guides and allies. You can just reach out, connect, email me. There's all kinds of stuff. I also now am linking to the courses that I offer. And if you click here on courses right on the front page, it should take you there. Of course, this is actually part of what I wanted to show you. There's no reason why this should happen. It says your connection is not private when you try to go to rogueways.thinkific.com. If you just type that into your browser, it'll just take you straight away. But for some reason, you have to hit advanced and then, I can't actually even go there from here. So don't believe that malarkey. It's just one more way that they would like you to not connect with me. But there is at thinkific.com, at rogueways.thinkific.com. See, I typed it in and I can just go there. But there are courses here for you to take if you would like to. I have long since struggled with all the way. I've been offering these same exact classes this many, many years now, but it's just not ideal to offer them one-on-one, one at a time through the site. And so this is so cool because I get to pre-record them all and put them up here on this site, and you can walk through at your own pace each of these things. I do have intro to meditation and self-mastery. This is especially good for people who literally think they cannot meditate, or have tried many times and just feel like it just doesn't work for them, or people who have no idea, have never even tried, and just aren't sure at all, anything about it. It's pretty basic intro. By the end of it, I give you some things to get like really deep, and even if that's all you ever did, it would be great. But that's a good course. It's only $44 for the intro. There's also an intro to chakras and empowerment would be a really good follow-up to that. Once you get into the meditation swing, you can start to work with each of your chakras in various ways. So we start out basic, what even are they? And then we get a little higher into how to actually use them and work with them. There's psycho-spiritual protection, which is really great for especially if you're going to start doing like pendulum or tarot, or just trying to like connect deeper channel. You just want to have good etiquette and protection on your side. So this is a really good class that offers you many ways to do that, from, the lightest you want to go to like some pretty deep protective methods. So that's a great course if you're into that. And then I have this bundle, which is Open the Door to Your Depth, which is all 3 of those. So if they all sound good to you, you can get them for much, much cheaper by getting all 3 at once. I am going to add things like finding your spiritual guides and allies, which will guide you to understand who your guides and allies are. I'm also going to do classes on how to connect with them more deeply, work with them, open your spiritual channels, communicate with Source and your allies, and tarot as well. The intro to tarot, and then also some deeper, higher level how to work with tarot sorts of things. So there's going to be lots of classes, more and more all the time. This is what's up here right now, and I just wanted to share that with all of you. I really appreciate it. Jessica Stewart in the Rockfin chat, thank you so much for your tip. Dakota in the house, your light is unstoppable. That's right. Bex Rock over in the YouTube, nice to see you. Thanks for the fire emoji for my rant. I appreciate all of you guys. So we are going to get back into the 7 Hermetic principles. And before we review those and get into our practice for the evening, I'm going to say goodbye to our YouTube friends. There's a lot of you there. If you want to come join us on a Rockfin, there's a lot of us over there too. And all you have to do is become a supporter. It is $10 a month, and you get 100% of all Rockfin creators exclusive content. There are no hidden tiers or more you have to pay for any person. 100% of it is yours. So you not only support me and get access to that, but you also support everybody else on Rockfin. So hop over. The link is right below wherever you're watching and listening. Otherwise, I will see you on Sunday. I think it's George Weissman is returning on Sunday, and I could be wrong about that because I don't have the best memory, as you may recall. But someone cool will be here, that's for sure. So otherwise, I'll see you all next time. Bye.